This is a Sunday homily for 19th Sunday of Ordinary Time 2023 Year A. The liturgical readings for this Sunday orients us to reflect on, with faith, to step out from the boat to meet Christ and welcome Him into our Christian life. How does the absence of Christ in the boat affected His disciples? What does the statement, "with faith, step out from the boat," mean to us today? On this 19th Sunday of Ordinary Time 2023, the first reading depicts Prophet Elijah as a person who is hopeless, discouraged, and desperately seeking help from God. How? To put the story of Prophet Elijah into context, the king wanted to kill him. Therefore, Elijah opted to hide himself in the cave of Mount Horeb for a night because he thought that God will not help him out of this problem. While in the cave, 4 events happened outside, namely 1, the mighty wind tore the mountains and God was not there. 2nd, the earthquake followed, but God was not there. 3rd, fire followed, but God was not there. And finally, a gentle breeze that made Elijah step out from the cave, full of faith, to meet God at the entrance of the cave. Indeed, God is found in the stillness of our life. That is why the psalmist says, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalms chapter 46, verse 10. Moreover, the theme "with faith, step out" is replicated also in the Gospel text today taken from Matthew, where Peter, having faith, stepped out of the boat and joined Christ by walking on water. What does step out from the boat mean? The story of today from the Gospel text starts with the continuation of last Sunday's passage, which was about the feeding of 5,000 people. In this 19th Sunday Gospel text, the crowd had already eaten, and Christ performed 3 important tasks in this story. 1, he dismisses the crowd to go back to their homes. 2, he sends his disciples to go ahead on the other side. And finally, Christ himself went to pray in the hills. Indeed, the events that have much consequences in this story are the disciples who were trying to cross the lake to the other side, meaning they were in the boat without Christ. And the other event that has consequences also was when Jesus was still at prayer somewhere up in the hills. In other words, this means that Christ stepped out of their boat and went to pray and left the disciples alone to cross the sea. What happened to the disciples? The text tells us that they were disturbed by the headwinds or storms, so they could not move forward to the other side. In fact, when Christ finished praying, he was crossing the lake by walking on top of the lake, and he found his disciples still battling and suffering from the storms. Christ walking on water is a unique and only miracle up to now recorded, because we have had 1, the people of Israel who crossed the Red Sea because God parted the waters and they crossed. 2nd, Prophet Jonas was swallowed by the fish and vomited on the other side, meaning Jonas crossed the sea underwater. And 3rd, here we find Christ who walks on top of water, and also Peter who walked on top of water briefly. This shows that God dominates even nature. After storms, what was the experience of the disciples? The first thing they experienced was being frightened, and they remained in the boat. The second thing that they saw was Christ walking on water. They saw him as a ghost because they were afraid and they had never seen a person walking on water in their life. Even Peter, who had a lot of experience in fishing, had never seen that kind of experience or seen someone walking on top of water. It was Christ who responded to them by saying, "Courage, it is I, do not be afraid." Then Peter responded and requested to make him walk also on top of water. Peter, with his enthusiastic character, accepted and stepped out of the boat and walked towards Christ. Now here comes the second person who walked briefly on water. When Peter's focus changed, he doubted and he started sinking. But then he cried out with a loud voice, "Lord, save me." And indeed, he was saved by Christ. When Christ joined them in the boat, calmness was experienced and they continued with their journey. Without Christ, we cannot go far because of the storms in life today. But when Christ is present, we experience calmness as we journey towards our heavenly Jerusalem. What does step out of the boat mean? It means to courageously, enthusiastically, and with little faith come out to meet Christ and welcome him like Peter. In the case of the first reading, we had Elijah who came out of the cave to meet God at the entrance of the cave in the gentle breeze. Today, which boat are we called to step out and meet Christ? The boat represents the comfort zone in our lives. Come out from the comfort zone to experience growth in your career. Come out from the comfort zone to seek solutions to your problems. Step out of the comfort zone, which could be your bed, to study hard to pass exams as a student. Step out of your boat with faith may mean trusting in God's mercy and love to make your marriage relationship work. With faith, come out of the boat to meet Christ and welcome him into your life as a Christian. Which lessons can we learn from this story? 1. It is after prayer that Christ walked on the waters. An encounter with God in prayer brings miraculous consequences into our lives. 2. Without Christ in our boats, we may go, but not very far because the turbulences in our lives affect us. Finally, with faith, let us step out of our boats to meet and welcome Christ. To conclude, on this 19th Sunday of Ordinary Time 2023, we are invited to step out of our comfortable zones to meet Christ and welcome him into our lives. Amen. Have a blessed Sunday.